Я был сияющим ветром, я был полетом стрелы, я шел по следу аллеи, среди высоких деревьев. Помни, что кроме 7 никто не вышел из дома, той, что приносит дождь.
С ребятенком. Первое декабря 2016 года. С работы еду. Всегда останавливаюсь перекусить, потому что голодный, как собака. Ну чё, ребят? Плохо видно ребятенка, прячется.
No, wait, there's no spoon. Just hands.
Привет.
Oh, ¿está rico?
Yeah.
Ah, qué bueno.
And
Igual es vainilla con canela.
what is crazy? Where is your crazy eyes you had before?
La de inmigración.
Sorry.
Bueno, es tu foto en el aeropuerto. En la inmigración.
He has this face for every photo. No, look, puppy. Porquito. Pigueletto. Do they have to bell all the time I make a video?
Add more. 2 more. Let's add a lot more.
Magnets, I love magnets.
Nico, the sound background.
Nico, what's up? Nick, what happened?
Do the wiggle one.
Oh, sorry.
It's always a Sunday morning. Right, Nikito? Look.
You need to give one a nudge to start it. Come on, how about you start it? Nobody's moving?
Oh, it's
Maybe because it's not smooth.
negative.
No, if it was smooth table.
How they look, yeah? Interesting, yeah?
Wow.
Alright, I'm gonna throw this one in there. Oh, wow. Okay, this time I'm gonna do the whole table. One over here. It's there. Right here.
Nikitoshi. That's it? She found new highway? Nikit! Nikito!
Papa, I'm almost ready.
Собака.
I'm almost ready. This one can start it. These two can start it.
Too far, Dilan.
So move it all closer.
Yeah, they're already working.
No, it's just like a teeth.
I see them.
They were cold.
Can you remove the back?
Between the North and the South. The North was to be a British colony annexed to Canada under the control of Lionel Rothschild. The South was to be a French colony given to Napoleon III of France under the control of James Rothschild. On the Illuminati under the sponsorship of Duke Ernst II of Saxe-Coburg-Altenburg, which is the same region of Germany that the British royal family comes from. Given all the evidence of the British royal family's ties to the occult, Freemasonry, and their German heritage, it is not hard to see that the teachings of Adam Weishaupt are being used by the British royal family today. The British monarchy was involved in 2 wars with China over opium. From about the mid-17th century onwards, Europe had a huge trade deficit with China. Europe wanted Chinese tea, silk, and porcelain, but China did not want as much of what Europe had to offer. This trade deficit problem was made worse by the fact that Chinese emperors demanded to be paid in silver and gold coin. The problem was solved when British traders began importing opium into China from India. Large areas of China became addicted to opium. The addiction was so intense that in many areas of China, opium was currency. The conflict between the Chinese emperors and British traders grew so bad that Queen Victoria sent in the British army to fight the Chinese army over opium in 1839 to 1842 and again in 1846 to 1860, published in 1871. The Knights of the Golden Circle, or KGC, was a Masonic organization dedicated to establishing a golden circle of territories between Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean, and the southern states, which would officially sanction slavery. Albert Pike was associated with the KGC and created several spin-off groups from it, including the Ku Klux Klan. While he was Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Albert Pike created his own office of Chief Justice of the KKK. This is also borne out at the location of his statue, which is in Judiciary Square in Washington, D.C. Albert Pike is responsible for inflaming racial tensions that were the official cause of the U.S. Civil War. Now you can understand how the American Civil War was really about who would control the money supply of the United States, and that slavery was a secondary issue in this conflict.
Образовательное видео с кошками, собаками. Nico.
William Huntington
How
Russell
long?
was one of the more prominent merchants involved in the Chinese opium trade. Born in America, Russell did what most wealthy businessmen did during the Industrial Revolution: protect his assets from taxation by establishing a tax-free foundation. The tax-free foundation that Russell and Company established based on opium revenue was the Russell Trust. The key institution of indoctrination that Russell Trust established was Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones was founded at Yale University in 1832 as a Black Lodge of Freemasonry. The onset Bones representatives would happen to be members of Skull and Bones is approximately 1 in 750,000. 3 generations of the Bush family had been members of Skull and Bones. George W. Bush, his father George H.W. Bush, and his father before him, Prescott Bush, were all members of this occult secret society.
The videotape provides a grainy glimpse into what appear to be the initiation rituals of a secret society that's been around since 1832, whose members have gone on to be leaders of Wall Street and the White House, the Senate and the Supreme Court.
They're sort of trying to scare the initiates, make them, disorient them, frighten them.
New York Observer investigative reporter Ron Rosenbaum accompanied a team of Yale students who shot these pictures 9 days ago. Rosenbaum's curiosity about Skull and Bones was permanently piqued when, as a classmate of George W. Bush, he lived right next to the Tomb, the group's heavily fortified home. From their perch, Rosenbaum and his cohorts taped the Tomb's courtyard. What they captured, they say, was initiates, known as neophytes, being forced to kiss a skull, then members performing a mock killing. It may look like your average fraternity nonsense, but Rosenbaum says it's not.
Even though it may seem silly to us, it seems to mean something to them, and you can't argue with the success of Skull and Bones.
It has been alleged by members of Skull and Bones that it was Prescott Bush who stole the skull and bones of Indian Chief Geronimo and placed it in the tomb as a source of spiritual power. George W. Bush never apologized for his activities in Skull and Bones. One of the first things he did as president was appoint many of his fellow bonesmen to positions of power.
President Bush
Вот
has
так.
tapped 5 fellow bonesmen to join his administration.
Georg Hegel was a German philosopher who came up with a basic system for achieving the goals of the Hegelian dialectic. This system is based on 3 steps. In step 1, a rogue government will create the problem that harms or even kills its own citizens. This deception is known as a false flag attack. In step 2, a rogue government will control the reaction to the problem which it created by typically blaming it on an enemy or some aspect of its own society over which it seeks more control. This is why the term false flag attack is so named. In step 3, a rogue government will offer the solution to the problem which it created. This solution is typically a war or a system of regulations. The solution would usually not be accepted by the public had the rogue government not created the crisis and controlled the reaction to it In the first place, a government which seeks increasing control can keep pushing society to accept its agenda by following a series of problems, reactions, and solutions which it planned all along.
We like to bring walks, yeah?
This meant that the First Lord of the Admiralty, Winston Churchill, knew where every German U-boat was in the English Channel. The Lusitania slowed to await the arrival of its military escort through the channel. Churchill ordered the escort to return to port. The Lusitania was crawling alone through a war zone. A private letter from Churchill removes any doubt as to whether he intended for the Lusitania to be sunk. Roughly 1,200 people lost their lives in an engineered event designed to start a war. Germany claimed that the Lusitania was carrying arms from America to be used by Britain against Germany. 93 years later, this claim has been proven to be true. The English-speaking press, controlled by the CFR in America and the Rothschild-owned news services in Europe, published the claim that the barbaric Germans had attacked an unarmed passenger ship. This ignores the fact that the German government placed warnings in New York newspapers reminding passengers that the ship would be sailing into a war zone. The best example of how the Illuminati bankers funded both sides of World War I was given through Max and Paul Warburg. Paul Warburg's firm of Kuhn, Loeb and Company was in charge of Liberty Loans, which helped finance the American military. Max Warburg's firm of M.M. Warburg and Company helped finance the Rothschilds were unable to control Russia because of the Tsar until World War I, when the alliance between the European and American bankers was complete. Jacob Schiff spent $20 million in gold to finance the Russian Revolution through Leon Trotsky, who was exiled in style in New York. Of the 384 commissars that were to make up the new Russian government, 264 had come from the United States. When the ship carrying the men and materials for the revolution were seized at the port of Halifax by Canadian authorities, President Wilson secured their release by stating that if they weren't let go, the U.S. would not enter the war. Lenin, exiled in Switzerland, promised to make peace with Germany if he overthrew Russia's temporary government. He was placed in a sealed railway car with $5 million in German gold and was sent to Russia. When the elections were held in November 1917, Lenin's communists received only 24% of the vote. Lenin had to use force in order to represent the people. The United States stepped in with enormous amounts of food and relief supplies as famine gripped Russia while Lenin took control of it. This opened the door for American industrialists and financiers like J.D. Rockefeller to build the infrastructure of Russia. The net effect was that America continued to support the communist revolution. This support was extended as power was transferred from Lenin to Stalin in spite of Stalin's ruthlessness. World War I ended according to the master plan of the 20th century Illuminati financiers. They knew that communism could only continue so long as capitalism supported it. The financiers also knew that the oppressive chains of the Treaty of Versailles would be broken by a leader who would eventually rise up from within Germany. Welcome to the first round of problem, reaction, and solution.
Вот покрывало постелил. Сразу все удивились. Я Никита. Сшибают звездочки с потолка, которые в темноте горят, фосфорные Она прыгает на потолок. Уже несколько звездочек. Hey, Chismosa, you're crazy. Unbelievable. Who's this big guy? Unbelievable. You're on video. Documented. Yeah. This is Mama Star. This is Swati Star. Oh no, Swati is there. Here's Purnavasu. You're knocking off my star. Hey. Unbelievable. So another star, yeah? Hey. Don't destroy my star. Where is it? Oh my god. And what? You gonna chew on it?
Mama.
She wants another one, yeah? What she found down on top? I never seen such a crazy cat in my life. She needs to do, she needs to know everything. Ага. Вот ребята играют мультфильмы про Иисуса Христа. Полный дебилизм. Полный дебилизм. Вот такие божественные иисусские животные, а потом их едят. Бедная яма.
Look how excited Caitlin is. I'm just so my head is so cold. I do not have. Caitlin, where's your phone? I don't have mine. It's in my pocket. My gloves are soaking wet. Because I keep brushing them off.
That star is misleading the kings. Oh, it's doing a flashy now. Look at that.
Такой мир.
We'll come pick you up at Brookfield.